Badge, laptop, parking pass, HR barked like I was a pizza delivery girl who overstayed her welcome, not the woman who just landed the largest renewal in company history. That's how it ended. 11 years, 3 CEOs, 12 platform overhauls, and one fire that literally melted the server room, gone in a 7-minute meeting with a laminated checklist and a smirk from the new VP's assistant, whose name I still don't know. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind to just a week earlier, when I was still the calm in their quarterly chaos. At Terranix, I wasn't flashy. I wasn't loud. But if Draxon Systems sneezed, I had tissues, Dayquil, and a contingency plan by noon. For over a decade, I babysat their whims and deadlines with white-knuckled diplomacy. While sales chased whales and ops tripped over Slack threads, I was the quiet bridge, every spreadsheet triple-checked, every Zoom war room diffused before it ignited. I didn't just manage the Draxon relationship. I was the Draxon relationship. So when the renewal came up, $120 million over 3 years, locked in with an expanded scope and integration pipeline, I handled every inch like a surgeon. Drafts, revisions, late-night clauses over chamomile tea and antacids. And most importantly, I protected the trust. Carla, Draxon's senior program lead, had one condition: my team only moves forward if you're still overseeing this. I need your name in the clause, Madison. Not representative, not liaison, I want you. We laughed because it sounded dramatic, but I agreed. I tucked it into Addendum B, Section 4.3. Agreement remains valid contingent on continuous oversight by the named strategic director. I initialed it. Carla initialed it. Legal didn't flinch. It was just Madison doing Madison things, right? Oh, and real quick, before we go any deeper into this mess of contracts and corporate carnage, can I ask you something? If you've been listening this far and you're not subscribed or haven't liked the story yet, hit that button. I know, every YouTuber says that, but seriously, it actually tells the team we're not screaming into the void. We see those clicks, we get hyped, and we keep digging up the real stories. All right, back to the fire. So I had Carla's trust, I had the contract. And after triple-checking every signature, I emailed her a scanned copy just in case things get chaotic, I joked. Her response: with your new VP, you bet it will. I didn't take offense. I'd met Travis once. He showed up late to a QBR called Draxon Drexen and then got their CTO's pronouns wrong. Confidence wasn't his problem. Humility was. He was one of those guys who orders sparkling water in bulk but microwaves fish in the break room. And apparently, he had a vision. A week later, I was called into a routine alignment check-in. I didn't bring my bag, that's on me. When I saw both HR and Travis in the glass box conference room, I knew the air was about to thin. He opened with, as we restructure toward a more agile client experience, we're transitioning legacy roles like yours into more forward-facing functions. Translation: your old news, we hired a kid with a TikTok degree. No notice, no handshake. Just the list, badge, laptop, parking pass. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I didn't even blink. I just nodded, slid the signed renewal packet onto his desk, dated, stamped, still warm from legal's copier, and said, good luck with onboarding. He looked at the folder like it had fangs, and I walked out. But here's the thing about walking out of a burning building you built yourself: you know where the gas lines are buried. Travis had the kind of smirk that looked like it practiced law in another life, sleek, soulless, always closing a deal with zero grip on consequences. When he slid into the company 3 months prior, nobody blinked. New VP of Client Experience, whatever that meant. Another buzzword mercenary from some failed startup, with a burner LinkedIn and too many photos from yacht conferences. The kind who ends every sentence with just spitballing here, before bulldozing the very thing that worked. I should have known I was on the chopping block the second he asked me what strategic deliverables even meant in the Draxon renewal. I told him plainly, it means the part where they don't sue us if we screw up. He laughed. I didn't expect the ambush. He called it a realignment opportunity, said we needed fresh blood to modernize the client lens. HR sat beside him with dead eyes and a folder. My folder. I recognized the tabs. I used to make those for people we offboarded. Now they were for me. The folder had a post-it on it labeled Langford Legacy Handoff. I almost laughed. Legacy is what they call you right before they gut your relevance. No performance concerns, he said. Palms up like he was blessing me. Just a restructuring. HR added something about severance being within policy and reminded me to wipe personal data from my devices, like I kept selfies in my work laptop. I didn't speak, not even a nod. I stared at them long enough to make Travis uncomfortable. I could feel him fidgeting, fingers tapping against the conference table in that little syncopated rhythm people use when they're trying to dominate silence. I let him tap. Then I stood, opened my portfolio, and pulled out the renewal, thick as a phone book, stamped in wet ink, still warm from legal's morning meeting. I laid it flat in front of him. His eyes darted to the title, Draxon Systems Enterprise Master Agreement Renewal Q3. You'll want to keep that, I said. He blinked. Is it signed, fully executed? I didn't say another word, didn't offer a hand. Just collected my coat and walked out with the kind of quiet they don't know how to process. No goodbye email, no LinkedIn update, no cardboard box full of dying succulents and coffee mugs. I had no interest in the theatrics, but before I shut down my computer for good, I opened my personal Gmail and attached the scanned contract. To Carla Wiggins, Senior Program Manager, Draxon Systems. Subject line, for your records, executed renewal doc. Body text, just this, let me know if things get chaotic. Hit send, logged out. Then I walked straight past reception like a ghost in my own building. Nobody stopped me, nobody even looked up. 11 years and all I got was a busted Keurig and a pit in my stomach. Still, I wasn't angry yet, not exactly. It felt more like something had been surgically removed from me in that room, without anesthesia, but with eerie precision. Hollow, quiet. A familiar quiet, actually. The kind of quiet right before a fuse meets its fire. Back home, I sat on the porch, cracked open a flat Diet Coke, and stared at the horizon like it might text me some answers. I didn't have a plan, not then. But I knew one thing, that contract had teeth, and my name was still on them. By the end of my first week post-Ternix, I'd already seen the signs. It started as a whisper on LinkedIn. Carla updated her status, navigating new dynamics this quarter. Patience is appreciated, which in Draxon speak was code for, your house is on fire but we're still deciding whether to pour water or gasoline. Then came the silence. No welcome posts, no celebratory team shoutouts from the Ternix side. Normally, when a big contract like Draxon renews, marketing can't shut up about it. There's a Canva banner, a confetti emoji, 3 C-suite retweets, and someone filming a boomerang of the champagne toast. But this time, crickets. That's when I knew Travis had no idea what he was holding. He handed Draxon off to a junior account manager named Chloe. I only know that because her nervous little excited to lead this amazing partnership. Post showed up on my feed, and I could barely read it through the eye roll. She had 3 months of experience, a dog named Sprinkles, and a Canva resume that said Synergy 5 times. By Wednesday, the cracks became craters. Carla's team ghosted the onboarding kickoff. Their infrastructure lead, Bradley, who once told me if you ever leave, I'll cry in public, didn't even show up to the architecture sync. Missed milestones, no-shows. A change request went unanswered until it expired. I got a DM from an old dev on the Terranix side. Did you really leave? No one's heard from Draxon since you did. Chloe submitted a sandbox doc with the wrong endpoint and they flagged it low confidence. You know what that means? Yeah, I knew. Low confidence from Draxon was the corporate version of walking into your anniversary dinner and seeing your spouse halfway through a Tinder date. Travis didn't panic, though. Of course not. He told the exec team it was just post-handoff turbulence. Said Draxon would adjust to the new rhythm, and that relationship fatigue was part of legacy turnover. Let me translate. He didn't know how bad it was, and he thought saying words like fatigue made him sound like he had a plan. I watched from afar, refreshing Slack leaks and LinkedIn updates like I was checking the weather after moving out of Tornado Alley. Carla's team, meanwhile, was quiet as the grave. That's not how Draxon operated. Normally, Carla sent emails at 3:14 a.m. with subject lines like quick ping, data stream mapping. But now, not a peep, it was like they were waiting, coiled, watching to see if the new leadership would notice they'd already slipped out the back door. I poured myself another drink and smiled into the rim of the glass. Travis had no idea what was coming. And the beautiful part, I didn't have to do a thing, I was out. But the clause, that little dependency clause, oh, it was very much still in. It started with a beige email, no fire, no fury, just a 6-sentence memo from Draxon's vendor relations inbox. Subject, concerns regarding ongoing alignment Draxon/Terranix Q3Q6 partnership. Carla didn't even sign it herself. It was cold, polite, the kind of email you send before cleaning out your shared drive and changing the locks. At first, they brushed it off. Travis read it aloud in the Monday morning leadership call, like he was doing bedtime stories for idiots. Standard client jitters, he said. We'll offer a joint sync and reaffirm the roadmap. But Draxon didn't want a sync. They wanted deliverables, ones that had already been missed. Documentation wasn't in compliance. Workflow integrations were half-tested. The DevOps container they promised would go live by Friday, still sitting in a staging repo with a permission error nobody knew how to fix. The CTO, Amit, started unraveling by Tuesday. Normally a mild-mannered brainiac in Patagonia fleeces. Okay, maybe this one still wore them. He lost it during the core platform review. Who approved this deployment? He shouted, slamming his laptop closed like it had insulted his children. We're in production with zero rollback plan, and your junior account manager sent an editable Google Doc to Draxon with track changes still visible. The API token was in the comments. Product blamed ops. Ops blamed onboarding. Onboarding blamed the realignment. Travis blamed growing pains. No one blamed Madison, but everyone felt her absence like a phantom limb. By Thursday, Carla surfaced, sort of. A brief email, curt and final. We are currently reviewing contract conditions to ensure mutual compliance has been maintained. Legal smelled the storm first. Terranix's internal counsel, Dana, showed up to Friday's exec sync with her laptop already open and her glasses halfway down her nose like she'd been reading through smoke. I need clarity, she said. Is the strategic director listed in this agreement still actively overseeing the Draxon account? Travis gave a non-answer so slippery it could have sold skincare. Our new team has assumed responsibilities with full access to prior records and continuity planning. Dana blinked twice, said nothing, just kept typing. An hour later, the official notice came in, from Draxon's legal department. Straight to the inboxes of Terranix Legal, the CEO, and 3 board observers. Subject: formal termination Draxon Enterprise Agreement material breach of Clause 4.3. B language was brutal in its precision. As per the executed agreement, continued engagement was contingent upon oversight by the named strategic director. That oversight is no longer in place. No amendment was requested. Therefore, agreement conditions have not been met. Per Section 6.1, this constitutes breach. The $120 million renewal? Voided. The internal Slack channel exploded. Someone pinged Travis? What clause? The CTO reportedly threw a pen at a whiteboard and stormed out. 2 senior product managers requested to be moved off the account immediately. Somewhere in the war room chaos, Travis finally broke character. "This is absurd," he snapped. "We're not in breach. That clause is symbolic. It's ceremonial. We'll get legal to push back." But his voice cracked on the word symbolic, and the room went quiet. Dana didn't say a word, just kept scrolling through the PDF. It was only then, only in that tense, airless silence, that someone finally asked, "Who is the strategic director listed on the agreement?" Travis didn't answer. He didn't need to. They all knew the name. And they'd erased it 7 days too soon. The executive boardroom at Terranix wasn't built for silence. It was designed for swagger, glass walls, brushed steel, LED lighting like you were pitching to NASA instead of negotiating with an insurance tech firm in Ohio. The chairs alone cost more than my entire bonus in 2018. But right now, none of that mattered, because silence had taken the room hostage. Dana, legal senior counsel, sat at the far end with the contract open like a surgical patient under the light. No red lines, no ambiguity. Just a clause in Addendum B, tucked neatly between an indemnification subclause and a governing law statement. Boring stuff. Stuff no one ever reads unless they're about to drown. She cleared her throat and read it aloud. Strategic oversight must remain under the designated officer unless mutually amended in writing by both parties. In the absence of said officer or a signed amendment, contract validity may be considered materially void. She looked up. Clause 4.3b. Initialed on all pages by Draxon and Madison R. Langford. The words hung there like smoke after a gunshot. Travis shifted in his chair. "That doesn't mean." Dana cut him off with a look that could strip paint. "It means exactly what it says." She turned the laptop around and pointed to the digital signature log. Draxon's legal team flagged this clause explicitly in their breach notice. They didn't just find it, they expected us to miss it. The CFO blanched. "Materially void Jesus. That means we're exposed." Dana nodded, slow and surgical. "We're not just exposed. We're naked in a snowstorm holding a matchstick." Someone swore under their breath. The CEO, Alan, who'd been silent up until now, sitting with fingers steepled and jaw clenched, finally spoke. "This clause was reviewed, right, before execution?" Dana didn't blink. "Yes, by legal, and it was flagged for clarification." But Madison had already secured Draxon's signature with the clause intact. There was no time to reframe. "And your office," she looked at Travis, signed off. "I thought it was symbolic," Travis muttered, voice nearly inaudible. "She said it was a placeholder, that it'd be updated later." "Did you get that in writing?" Dana asked, calm as a coroner. Travis said nothing. Of course he didn't. Outside the room, you could hear the muffled chaos, Slack messages buzzing like hornets, client services fielding media inquiries, a product manager dry heaving into a trash bin. The CFO leaned forward, whispering, "If they pursue clawback on the upfront, we could be looking at an 8-figure loss." "No," Dana corrected, voice flat, "it's already in motion." Clawback language was triggered the moment their termination letter cited this clause. Alan stood up abruptly, knocking his chair into the wall behind him. "How the hell did this happen? We've had this client for over a decade. This contract was our quarter, our roadmap, we built around it." Dana just turned the laptop back to herself. "You removed the one person who held it together, without asking what she'd built to hold it. And then came the worst part." She pulled up the metadata on the file. "Executed June 9th. Routed through internal approval channels. Last touched, finalized by Madison R. Langford. Her name on the final version, her initials, her signature. Everything that made this contract what it was." The air in the room dropped 10 degrees. Suddenly, the LED lights felt too bright, the windows too wide. Everyone's faces had the same expression, white-knuckled realization. No one spoke, not even Travis, because they all knew they hadn't just lost a contract. They'd lost the only person who could have saved it. The shouting started before the door even closed. Alan's voice cut through the floor like a dropped chainsaw, ragged, panicked, just this side of feral. People in the marketing bullpen froze mid-scroll. HR reps tensed like meerkats. Someone on the 3rd floor posted in Slack, "CEO just went DEFCON 2, avoid West Hallway unless you're flame retardant." Inside the war room, it was scorched earth. "She's gone, gone. What kind of brain-dead moron lets a clause like that through? Who the hell was watching this thing?" No one answered. Not yet. Travis, face pale, collar wilted, opened his mouth. She drafted it. Madison. She said it was standard. A placeholder Alan wheeled on him. Did you read it? Did anyone read it? Or did you just nod and smile like a goddamn intern hoping for sticker? Travis sputtered. She handled all the contracts before I got here. She knew what Draxon wanted. She said it'd smooth the sign-off. Dana, still seated, didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. She just reached forward, slid the agreement across the table like it was Exhibit A in a very public trial, and tapped once hard on the clause in question. Right beneath it, Strategic Director, Madison R. Langford effective. Immediate upon execution amendment, only with written consent of both parties. Her finger didn't move. She didn't look up. Silence reigned again, but not the same silence as before. This was different. This was haunted. Because every person in that room could now feel her, the woman they discarded like a stale granola bar. The one who never raised her voice, never missed a deadline, never once asked for recognition. She was gone, yes, but her fingerprints were everywhere. Alan collapsed into his chair like gravity had suddenly remembered him. He pinched the bridge of his nose, but no amount of pressure was going to unclench the disaster. He muttered, the media already caught wind, PR's getting calls. The CFO added quietly, investor calls too. There's talk of an audit. If the board smells negligence, they'll hang us, Alan finished. He turned slowly toward Travis, who now looked like he'd aged 20 years in 5 minutes. You signed off on this. You removed her. You told us everything was covered. Travis nodded weakly, eyes glassy. I didn't think you didn't think, Alan snapped. That's the problem. You thought her silence meant she wasn't essential. You thought clean handoffs and compliant workflows just grew on trees. Dana stood now, gathering her folders without hurry. She closed the laptop with a soft click that somehow felt final. You removed a keystone without checking the foundation, she said, and now you're surprised the roof fell in. Travis didn't respond. He couldn't, because the truth was echoing louder than anything Alan had screamed. Madison didn't sabotage a thing. She just did her job so well, so thoroughly, and with such precision that the minute they deleted her, the contract deleted them back. Her ghost didn't haunt the building. It was the building, and now there was no one left to hold the roof up. The message came in just after 9 a.m., a quiet ping in Dana's inbox, unremarkable among the flood of escalating madness. But the subject line stopped her mid-scroll. Renewal execution Langford transition. She opened it, already bracing herself. It was from Carla, not legal, not a proxy. Carla herself, clean, clipped tone, no small talk, no apology. Just 2 lines, attached as the correspondence we received from Madison on her last day. We attempted to follow up per her request. No one responded. Below it, an email thread, time-stamped, dated, archived, untouched since it was first sent. There it was, my final act. From Madison R. Langford to Carla Wiggins subject, in case oversight changes sent, 6:02 p.m. Friday. Carla, thanks again for the trust these past few years. If strategic oversight changes on your account for any reason, please reach out to me directly before taking action. I'll make sure continuity is preserved, on your terms, not theirs. Best, Madison. Below that, 2 more messages from Carla, unanswered. One from Saturday morning, confirming you're no longer with Terranix. Please advise if the clause is still active. Then Monday, following up. Still no response from new contact. Delaying data handoff until we hear from someone official. No replies, no forwarding, no delegation, just silence. Dana read it once, then again, then slowly turned her screen so the CEO could see it. She didn't say a word. Alan read it, jaw locked tight. His hand twitched like he was going to slam something, but there was nothing left to break that hadn't already shattered. Trust, he muttered. That's what this was about. Not code, not documents, not platforms. Dana nodded. You didn't just breach a contract. You broke confidence. Carla's final blow came that afternoon, an official statement shared with both parties, brief and surgical. Draxon Systems will not be pursuing a renegotiation of the invalidated renewal. Oversight was promised and then erased without notice. We no longer trust the leadership or continuity at Terranix. This relationship has ended. No drama. No chance to save it. Just the sound of $1 million door slamming shut and locking from the other side. Travis tried. God, did he try? He spun up 3 frantic emails to Carla in under 30 minutes. Offered a joint task force, a 90-day corrective roadmap, even a direct personal line. No response. She wasn't ignoring him. She was done. I wasn't watching any of this unfold in real time, but I didn't need to. I knew Carla. I knew how many times she'd bitten her tongue when Terranix changed project managers mid-sprint or kicked timelines without warning. She didn't throw tantrums, she just kept receipts, and when the math stopped working, she walked. Dana didn't attend the next all-hands, neither did Alan. The CFO canceled his afternoon meetings. Travis locked his door. But across the entire company, the mood had shifted. Nobody said my name out loud, but they all felt it, humming underneath every conversation like a low-voltage warning. Not a ghost, a reminder. You don't erase people like me, you rely on people like me, until you find out what happens when we let go. They spent the weekend trying to glue glass. Saturday morning, Alan summoned legal, PR, and finance into what he called a full-spectrum recovery sprint, which sounded like something lifted off a tech slide deck. except no one was wearing a mic or smiling. He wanted answers, he wanted fixes. He wanted blood, but mostly he wanted a time machine. Legal gave him neither. The clause is enforceable, Dana said flatly. The contract named Madison as the sole strategic director. Draxon never approved a successor. There was no amendment. Oversight terminated the minute she was dismissed. Alan pointed at the giant contract displayed on the room's screen. But we had signed collateral. We had back-end continuity. Dana didn't even blink, doesn't matter. The person was the guarantee, not the tech, not the platform, her. He turned to PR. Can we spin this as a misunderstanding? PR was silent a beat too long. Then, the breach letter was leaked to Tech Ledger. It's already circulating. We're trending on Twitter under #vendor failure. Jesus Christ. Someone on the finance team muttered that clawback requests had officially been received from Draxon's account receivables team. $30 million in upfronts flagged for reversal. The CFO turned pale. If they escalate this through arbitration, we're toast. That's when the board called. Not the full board, just the audit committee chair, a former compliance prosecutor with the warmth of a sea urchin. She didn't ask permission. She didn't schedule a time. She entered the Monday morning war room, escorted by her own counsel. The air changed instantly. Her voice was cold enough to sterilize metal. How did this clause get past review? Dana raised her hand. It didn't, we flagged it. Travis confirmed with ops that continuity would be preserved. Madison had already obtained Draxon's signature. We advised it be amended if she were removed. The chair turned to Travis. Was it amended? Travis tried to speak. He actually opened his mouth and moved it, but nothing came out. Just a squeak. She turned to Alan. Did you review the clause yourself? He looked like someone had unplugged him from the wall. I relied on staff recommendations. She nodded once, eyes like razors. Good to know. Then came the death blow. A junior assistant walked in, pale, shaking, and handed Dana a printed document. Dana scanned it, sighed, and handed it directly to the audit chair. It was Carla's letter. Official, on Draxon Systems letterhead. Public, we can no longer, in good faith, continue to work with a vendor who treated such a critical relationship with casual indifference. Strategic partnerships are built on trust. That trust was broken. We will not return. At the bottom, Carla's signature. The audit chair read it, then placed the letter carefully in front of her, centered on the table like an altar stone. Then she said nothing. For a long time, the war room stayed frozen. No tapping keyboards, no whispering, not even the whir of HVAC, just the subtle electric dread of everyone realizing this wasn't salvageable. Finally, Travis stood, or rather rose like something sinking before it even left the floor. I'll resign, he whispered, effective immediately. No one objected, not even Alan. He just looked at the tabletop like it owed him an apology. His face had the color and expression of a man realizing the trapdoor he'd fallen through had been built, installed, and polished by the very woman he'd fired. And now, there was no more Madison. No more client, no more quarter, just the silence of a company in freefall and the echo of a name that had become their undoing. The final board meeting was closed door, off calendar, and 3 hours late. No catered lunch, no sparkling water. Just a grim semicircle of power suits in a room that suddenly felt 10 sizes too large. The air was dense, like whatever oxygen had once filled the space had been siphoned out and replaced with pure dread. Alan sat at the head of the table, staring into a packet of notes that no longer mattered. His tie was loosened, his cufflinks were gone. His voice, when he finally spoke, sounded like it had been soaked in bourbon and humiliation. Just say it again, he muttered. Someone, anyone, explain this to me. On what grounds did they pull the plug? What exactly are we being held to? Dana didn't speak. She didn't flinch. She didn't even look tired. She simply pulled the contract from her leather folder, now creased, dog-eared, and war-torn like a survivor from a battle nobody expected to be real, and slid it across the table. It stopped in front of Alan. Her finger landed on a line in bold, perfectly centered, underlined only by consequence. Strategic oversight must remain under the designated officer unless mutually amended in writing. Alan blinked, the room tilted slightly with him. He read the next line, then the next, then the name, designated officer Madison R. Langford. A soft click from across the room, the CFO closing his pen with finality. Alan's mouth opened, but no sound came out, not a protest, not a rebuttal, not a plea. Just that blank, unraveling horror that only shows up when a man realizes he's not just lost, but outmaneuvered, not by a rival, not by a scandal, not even by chance, but by the woman he dismissed without a second thought. He looked up, but there was nowhere left to look. The board chair's gaze was steel. The audit committee was already whispering to legal counsel. One director checked his phone and grimaced. Another headline had dropped. Another nail in the coffin. Alan's fingers hovered over the contract, like touching it might somehow undo what was already etched in ink and failure. His lips moved, trying to form some argument, some lifeline, but there was nothing. He sank back into his chair, slow and small, as if the air itself was pressing down on him. In that moment, he wasn't a CEO. He was just a man sitting in the wreckage of his own arrogance, watching the smoke curl from the blueprint he never understood. And somewhere far from that room, nowhere near the glass and panic and hushed blame, I sat on my porch with a mug of lukewarm coffee, sunlight on my legs, and no inbox to check. No emergency to fix. No more bridges to hold up. Just quiet, and my voice calm and final, folding into the stillness. I wasn't the problem. I was the guarantee. You fired both. Thanks for watching, you cubicle warriors. Hit that subscribe button. Unless you're my old boss, then you're on your own. Revenge of the coffee pot strikes again.